All right, folks, we're approaching that time of the year where candidates decide that they want to run for re-election or not run. And there's always some interesting things that happen. Let's be real clear. One of the most guaranteed jobs in the world is a member of Congress. The re-election rate is extremely high. So very few people actually will challenge an incumbent because hard to raise money, hard to run against them, and to defeat them. So a couple of things happened. So in Chicago, Chuy Garcia, longtime member of Congress, decided that first of all, he filed, then decided, yeah, I'm not going to run. But he decided very late on the Monday, the day of the deadline, and then right before the deadline, his chief of staff slid her name in as the only Democrat nominee. Interesting. So a Democrat from Washington State, not happy at all, Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez, she says, this is BS, it's anti-democratic. So she wants the Democrats to vote on a symbolic resolution expressing disapproval of what she calls a scheme. Here is Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries speaking about that resolution.
Thank you. Congresswoman Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez has moved to formally disapprove of Congressman Jesús Garcia for his kind of maneuvering with his re-election bid. I'm curious, what's your stance on that, and whether you're telling Democrats to vote against formally reprimanding him?
I strongly support the motion to table that will be brought this evening, and I expect that it will succeed.
Leader Jeffries.
Thanks. Third row.
Do you think that the manner in which Congressman Garcia retired abruptly for only his chief of staff to take his place, do you think that was wrong?
Here's what I think. The American people are focused on the high cost of living in the United States of America. That's what they're focused on. The affordability crisis, that's what the results were all about during the first Tuesday of this month, when Republicans were select throughout the country. Because they have failed on the economy, and Democrats actually have a vision all over the country to drive down the high cost of living and deal with the affordability crisis that exists in the United States of America. As House Democrats, that's what we're going to continue to focus on. I do not support this so-called resolution of disapproval, and I strongly support Congressman Chuy Garcia. He's been a progressive champion in disenfranchised communities for decades, including during his time in Congress, and he's made life better for the American people.
All right, I understand that. And you have Democratic leader supporting him. And here was a statement that Garcia put out. Congressman Garcia made a deeply personal decision based on his health, his wife's worsening condition, and his responsibility to the grandchildren he is raising after the death of his daughter. He followed every rule and every filing requirement laid out by the state of Illinois. At a moment like this, he hopes his colleagues, especially those who speak out about family values, can show the same compassion and respect that any family would want during a health crisis. Congressman Garcia remains committed to finishing his term with dignity and continuing his lifelong fight for working families. Okay, I get that. I get it. But let's be real clear. That ain't what's going on here. Garcia's office, they're submitting these talking points right here. Congressman Garcia filed to run for re-election. He wanted to continue to fight for his district in a House majority. In the days before the filing deadline, his cardiologist warned of increased health risk. His wife's multiple sclerosis was progressing, and he finalized the adoption of his grandson in the same week. Congressman Garcia wanted to put his family first, a decision that any parent or grandparent would understand. The context, Congressman Garcia followed all requirements and deadlines under Illinois law. Any candidate interested in running to represent Illinois 4 could have submitted petitions at any time before the filing deadline. The ballot was open to everyone. On the motion of disapproval, voters want Congress to work on affordability and kitchen table issues, not spend time on insider disagreements. This motion is a ploy that our opponents will use for their own gain, blah, 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 blah. Y'all, Congressman Garcia knows that's bullshit. See, I'm going to call bullshit when I see bullshit. I don't care whether it's Democrat or Republican. This is a Huffington Post story right here. And give me 1 second. And what's interesting in this story, they say the maneuver that Garcia did, they said, this is a quote, the maneuver is far from unprecedented. Former Illinois Representative Bill Lipinski, who was a Democrat, I think, pulled a very similar trick in 2005 to clear a path for his son, former Representative Dan Lipinski, to easily win election to Congress. See, what Garcia did was, he didn't just pull out. He didn't just pull out. The deadline was 5 p.m. He pulled out after 4 p.m. Now, y'all, if Chuy Garcia knew he wasn't going to run, he could have announced that Sunday night, on Saturday, on Friday. He could announce it at 8 a.m. on Monday. But he waited as long as he could to give one person an opportunity to file for office, his chief of staff. He knew, because he's a longtime member, nobody was going to run against him. But if they knew that he wasn't running, I can guarantee you there would have been other candidates vying for the office. So I'm not saying his cardiologist didn't tell him there are health risks. I guarantee you his cardiologist didn't say that at the last second. His wife's multiple sclerosis didn't, I don't believe, all of a sudden get worse. Finalize the adoption of the grandchild meant that process was happening weeks or months before. So that's one. So I call BS on that. And I understand her resolution because, frankly, that's how you screw other people. Because I need people to understand these seats are not owned by any individual or party. They are the seats of the people. And I've long said that nobody has a right to say, how dare you run against me? Because your job is to make the case to the people every 2 years, if you are a member of the U.S. House, why you should get reelected. That's why I have a serious problem. And I like them, but I got a serious problem with what I heard today in this clip from Memphis Congressman Steve Cohen, who is clearly upset that Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson has announced that he's running for the seat that Cohen occupies.
Say to folks who say, Steve Cohen, you need to get out of the way and hand it over to someone young.
There'll be a time for that. He's not ready. He's only served 3 years in the General Assembly. He hadn't passed a bill. I don't think he's passed a resolution. And his attendance record was the worst of any member of the General Assembly. If you don't take your attendance as your responsibility, and I know he had a brother who committed suicide and he had some problems, and he said that's what he was dealing with. So I don't think he's ready. And he could have waited 2 years. He could have waited 4 years. He could have talked to me. He was an intern for me when he was in high school, and he never talked to me about running for office. It was kind of like Pearl Harbor. That's not the way you do it, and you work with people, and it's just not time. And I've got more to do, and I've got experience, and I've got the opportunity. I'll be a committee chairman when I go up there. The lowest thing in the world is a freshman in the minority party.
Regardless of how much national attention you have?
Right, yeah. Exactly. So why would you trade in a 20-year veteran who's got the choice of chairman of the or ranking member, whichever it becomes with a majority or minority party, of the aviation subcommittee or committee, a spot on judiciary, and intelligence committee for a freshman who will get what's left over. Some people have come to me and said they have a problem and their friends have a problem. They don't want to be against me and they don't want to be against my opponent. And I think, well, the problem was caused by my opponent by running. He could have waited a couple of years. So it's not my problem. Some people have said, oh, you need to mentor him. I don't think he's mentorable, to be honest. And a lot of older people, particularly African-American women, support me and want me to retire when I want to retire, not because some people want some new guy who's going to have his time. He will get in office at some point or another, but it's not going to be in 2026.
I know Congressman Steve Cohen. We've always had a cordial relationship. But this has to be said. That comment those comments by Congressman Steve Cohen are arrogant, abhorrent, and privileged. First and foremost, it is arrogant to say he needs to wait 2 or 4 years. Why? Why does he need to wait? Anybody can run. I don't care if he was an intern for you. Anybody can decide to run. Representative Pearson does not have to come to Congressman Cohen to say, hey, can I get your permission to run for Congress? He does it. Then, was anybody else bothered when he said he likened Pearson's announcement to Pearl Harbor? I'm sorry. The Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. You are saying that this dude running is comparable to more than 2,400 Americans being killed in Pearl Harbor? Bruh, really? Now, when Cohen talked about his attendance, that's fair game. But Pearson has also said that his brother committed suicide. That was an issue. Absolutely, I get it. He talks about, he hasn't even passed one resolution. Everybody knows how racist the Tennessee Republican legislature is. So we already know that. But if you want to make the argument that you have experience, if the Democrats control the House, you would be the chair of a committee, it all makes sense. But I believe it is completely arrogant and dismissive and privileged for any member of Congress to have the audacity to say they need to wait. I'll retire when I decide to retire. No, Congressman Cohen. You'll retire when the voters decide to retire you. Because we have numerous examples of incumbents who have run for office and the voters retired them. Ask Eric Cantor what happened in Virginia when a right-wing MAGA candidate defeated him with little money. Ask Congressman Hilliard in Alabama what happened when he ran. I mean, we can show you many folks who ran for office and lost. But you, Congressman Cohen, you, Congressman Garcia, and any other Democrat or Republican, white, black, Latino, Asian, Native American, none of you own a seat. That is the seat of the voters. And you are to make your case. And I don't believe anybody has to wait to challenge you. Your job is to make your case to the voters. Omen Congo, your thoughts?
I mean, what a shot in the foot for him to do that. I mean, you, as somebody who knows him, said you had a cordial relationship. If he was running, this would be a situation that you wouldn't be saying what you're saying right now about him. His comments were arrogant, ignorant, like you said, arrogant and ignorant and disrespectful. Even if you felt like Representative if Pearson wasn't ready, why do you got to bring up his brother? You know, that everybody knows that that's a situation, that was a real thing. And then and then the whole thing he said about, and black women support me and so on and so forth. Like, even just politically, it's politically stupid because I can hear black women saying, oh, you think you're just going to take our vote for granted just like that and make him work for it? Or just say, we riding with Justin because black women are the smartest voters within the Democratic Party and the backbone of the Democratic Party. So why would you just go out there and just say, like, strategically, it doesn't make sense to just say black women got me, right? And that this guy's too young and to wait his turn. They said, wait your turn to old. And so the arrogant, and going back to the Garcia one as well, look, I ran for city council when I was actually physically living in DC in 2018. There's a lot of paperwork you got to fill out. So this idea, she, just slipped in his, chief of staff, whatever, at like 4:15 or something. That's complete nonsense. It was completely planned. And these are two incredible examples of what happens when Democrats get too comfortable, when they get too arrogant, when they get too ignorant. And this makes room for somebody, a MAGA type or Republican type, or somebody who doesn't represent the interests of our community to sneak in there and take advantage of the division.
Well,
both examples are arrogant.
Well, the reality is MAGA ain't winning that seat. That's Memphis. It ain't going to happen. And here's the deal, Avis. There have been a number of prominent black Democrats who have run against Cohen in previous years, and he's beat them. So just make your argument to the voters. But again, what bothers me, one, how dare you liken him running to Pearl Harbor? I'm sorry. A person announcing they're running against you ain't the same as a foreign country blowing up planes, air bases, killing more than 2,400 Americans, injuring more than 1,000. One of the most catastrophic things that's ever happened to the United States. So that's bullshit. But number two, a whole bunch of older black women made it clear that I can retire when I want to retire. Again, that's arrogance and privilege. You don't own that seat. You don't control it. And then he said, he'll be able to run for it later. But in the same interview, he made clear who he wants to take the seat when he decides that he wants to retire or if he gets voted out. Roll the clip.
Who comes in after you in this seat? What type of person, what type of leader do you imagine filling the role?
I think it would be somebody who spent time in the state house and the state senate, has passed bills, has the respect of their colleagues, a person who unites people and gets along with people, a person who might be African American and Indian descent. And I think that would be the type of person you'd look to see to succeed you. I'm much, much, much closer finishing my career. And I know that at 76 and with my bad leg, just so much time.
Will you have the money and the stamina to take him on?
I will have the money. I've got $1.8 million in my fund. So I'll have fundraisers and I'll raise money. I'll have the money. He got $1 million from one person, David Hogg, who's a 25-year-old graduate of Harvard who was at Parkland School. He wasn't in one of the classrooms where those shootings and killings are on the corridor, but he was in this classroom and he heard the bullets go off and was a great spokesman for anti-gun and gun legislation. He pledged him $1 million. Now, any person, that's more money for a state legislative race ratio than Elon Musk gave Donald Trump for president. So you talk about somebody going in who's already encumbered to somebody who gave him $1 million and to the Justice Democrats who's supporting him and basically did his press outlet and everything else and they're behind him big time. He's going to have obligations to them too. We've got a congressperson who responds to the district, always has, not to somebody that from Florida that gave me $1 million or to some group that's up in New York that put in the squad and is going to call his number.
Oh, okay. So he pretty much, Avis is endorsing someone else when he decides that, hey, I'm done in this job. Again, I can't stand any member of Congress, Republican or Democrat, who thinks that they own a seat. That's the people's seat.
You know what it shows me? He's scared. He's spooked. He understands that this is not the lock that he wants to try to say it is in that interview, that it's his seat until he decides that he wants to retire. Well, I have news for him. He does not control, first of all, black women. I don't know what made him think that he could speak for black women, but you know what? I kind of know black women. I kind of have firsthand experience with black women, and we don't like old white men telling us what to do. Number one. Number two, it's very, very offensive to many people to see a constant refrain of people staying in seats that honestly beyond their welcome. One of the biggest critiques that the Democratic Party has right now is that the people in office are not fighting enough, that we need different people, bolder people, more vocal people, hell, younger people in those seats. And I know he knows that that is the undercurrent of what he is facing right now. And so instead of fighting like a man and actually talking about the issues and actually saying and actually making a case as to why it would make sense to reelect him, I see what he's doing, honestly, as very, very nasty, very personal and offensive attacks. And I have news for him. I don't believe that's going to help him in the long run. If anything, I think that's going to gain momentum to his opponent. And if anything, I think he might end up being very surprised in terms of what the turnout is going to look like, in terms of how the vote is going to go, and in terms of whether or not this is going to be just another election for him where he can just expect to come back, or if he'll be challenged and overturned by this much, much younger and much, much more vocal candidate.
Let's be clear, Mateo. Incumbents hate challenges. They hate running. They don't want to have to spend the money. They don't want to have to, oh, damn, now I got to go out here and I got to politic and I got to go knock on doors. They are used to running unopposed in the primary, knowing full well that the other party will run against them in the general. That's just a fact. Again, I don't believe my criticism isn't valid. I don't like the language. How dare he? How dare he run? You should wait 2 to 4 years. You're too young. You haven't done enough. You have enough experience. You were my intern. Well, you know what? I was other people's intern in media, and my career has advanced a hell of a lot further than theirs did. Sometime the intern could be better than the person who taught them. But the point here is this here. If you believe that you are the better person and the better candidate, prove it. Run. Listen, it's not the same, but I just ran for the National Association of Black Journalists Board of Directors, Vice President Digital. I was previously Vice President Digital. Before that, Secretary. Before that, National Student Rep. And there were 3 other people who ran against me. I didn't say, how dare y'all run against me? I was the only one who actually owns a digital network. And they were running for the digital job. But you know what I said? Bring it. I'm going to take it to the voters and say, hey, y'all, this me, this them. Which one y'all want? I won. That's what you're supposed to do. What Chuy Garcia did here is he greased the skids for his chief of staff. That's what he did. And what Cohen is doing is showing a level of arrogance by saying, how dare he oppose me? He didn't even come talk to me first. He didn't need to.
You know, I'll say one thing. I agree with everything that he has said. I certainly agree with the fact that we're peeking behind the curtain here and seeing how people think when they're cornered. At the end of the day, if anybody here thinks that the career politician sees their seat as a career and not as a profession, if we think that they're going to work every day really for the constitution,
hold on, Mateo. Your signal is dropping in and out. Hold on 1 second, Mateo. Your signal is dropping in and out. So let's go ahead and repeat that last part. Let's see if we got you back. Go ahead.
Campaigning.
All right, Mateo. Hey, Mateo, your signal is completely choppy, and we left off where you said that it's a profession. It's not. You said something about them a profession. Do we have him back? All right, because I want him to finish his comment. Do we have Mateo back?
Yeah,
All right, Mateo, it started chopping up right there, but you made a point about a profession. Now pick it up from there.
So if we think that these career politicians are seeing their career as a profession before they see their career, then I have a bridge to sell you. They are spending the vast majority of their time campaigning and a relatively small portion of their time actually serving their constituents. That is their focus, and we have to lower the veil and realize that the majority of lifetime federal lawmakers see their seat as a career.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.